Today's Friday, July 10th, 2026. Welcome to This Week in Natural Refrigerants News, where we recap the top stories on naturalrefrigerants.com. This podcast is generated and read by artificial intelligence and may contain errors. We're your hosts, AT and MO, and the articles for today's podcast were organized by naturalrefrigerants.com's managing editor and written by its writers. You can find links to each article in the show notes.
And it is going to be a really packed week, honestly. We are looking at a market that is just, well, accelerating so rapidly that standard bodies are kind of scrambling to keep up with the physics.
Yeah, right. I mean, we are talking about everything from massive data centers rethinking their thermal loads to, localized retail stores completely shifting their cooling architecture.
Yeah.
But let's start with how the industry is actually trying to manage this explosive growth. So Atmosphere has officially launched a verified global directory on the site.
Right, which is huge. I mean, they already have over 550 companies listed in there.
Yeah, and they are targeting 5,000 by 2028.
Yeah.
It is basically a highly vetted digital Rolodex,
Yeah.
For the clean cooling value chain.
Exactly. And the real strategic value here, it isn't just the sheer volume of companies. Because the market for clean cooling is expanding so aggressively, it inevitably attracts unqualified players who are just, trying to cash in.
Oh, absolutely. So vetting becomes a safety and survival mechanism, right? Not just marketing.
Yeah, exactly. This directory is built for proactive matchmaking. It makes sure that buyers are connecting only with legitimate professionals who actually have verified experience.
And relying on vetted professionals is so crucial right now, especially because the exact standards those engineers use to build safe systems are actively having to be rewritten.
Right, which brings us to the IIR. They are updating their CO2 safety standard to address those extreme high-pressure issues. Specifically, they are approving Addendum A for transcritical CO2.
Oh, wow. So what was the actual issue with the old standard?
Well, if you look at the older ASHRA factors, the capacity factor, the FEF factor of 1, it was actually dangerously inadequate for calculating relief valve discharge capacity once you cross that 1,072 psi critical point. So the IIR just had to step in and determine the appropriate values themselves.
Right, but standardizing the math is really only half the battle, isn't it? I mean, they are also partnering with UC Berkeley to study the physical reality of venting that high-pressure CO2 to the atmosphere.
Yeah, because when you have that sudden, massive pressure drop, the temperature just absolutely plummets.
Exactly. And that creates a severe risk of dry ice forming, which could completely clog the relief valve headers. It is such a fascinating and critical engineering bottleneck.
It really is. And, figuring out those high-pressure bottlenecks isn't just some theoretical exercise either. It is urgent because those exact transcritical CO2 systems are being drafted to cool the one sector running hotter than any other right now.
All right, data centers.
Yeah.
M&M Carnot just highlighted this at Atmosphere America with a massive growth forecast. They expect their CO2 deployments in the data center sector to roughly double every single year. They're projecting 1,600 CRAC units by 2031.
Wait, doubling every year? That sounds like optimistic sales math. Does the hardware actually deliver the kind of efficiency to back that up?
It actually does, yeah. They're achieving a 30 to 60% efficiency gain by utilizing a patented thermal siphon plus a flooded evaporator for free cooling.
Oh, I see. So instead of fighting the data center's waste heat, they're basically using it as an engine.
Right, exactly. In a recent ADTR telecom retrofit, they hit a 2.8 COP. They pulled that off by simultaneously supplying 44-degree chilled water for the IT equipment while, recovering 130-degree hot water for space heating.
That is incredible efficiency at the facility level. But it makes you wonder how that translates into a broader nationwide infrastructure strategy.
Well, the Environmental Investigation Agency is pushing hard to scale this up. They are strongly urging the UK to adopt a national cooling plan.
Right, and their strategy prioritizes passive cooling first. But where active cooling is required, they want a strict mandate for natural refrigerants over HFCs and HFOs.
Yeah, specifically to stop further PFAS pollution, right?
Yeah.
Namely, PFA accumulation in the environment.
Exactly. And if you are wondering how fast regulatory anticipation can actually shift hardware markets, you just have to look at the EU data point the EIA highlighted. I mean, residential propane heat pump market share skyrocketed from just 3% in 2021 to 38% in 2024.
That is a massive jump in just 3 years. But that shift toward R290 isn't confined to residential hardware, is it?
No, not at all. RNEG is proving R290 can solve localized commercial retail challenges too. They have these new R290 HP and tower chillers, which cover capacities from 5 to 41 kilowatts, for small format stores.
The architecture there is brilliant. By keeping the highly flammable propane strictly outside in a tiny charge and pumping minus 10 degrees Celsius chilled glycol indoors to the medium temperature display cases, you completely bypass the safety hazards of having refrigerants inside the actual store.
Exactly. It is a much simpler alternative to running complex, centralized CO2 racks, especially when you have a small footprint.
Yeah, which leaves you with an interesting final thought to mull over. As environmental regulations tighten and space remains at a premium, will these low-charge, self-contained glycol loops become the new default architecture for the modern convenience store?
This is AT and MO, and this has been the week in Natural Refrigerant News.